corner here. Now, as you know, when I get to the corner, I get down to fucking business. Keeping up on a couple different things. Civil War II, good event going on. What I am reading into, though, right now is the X-Men Civil War II line, which has been, I think it's 3 issues deep now. I've been reading Extraordinary X-Men, All New X-Men, and Uncanny X-Men Superior. I'm not gonna lie, though, it's been a little challenging to maintain my interest. Hasn't necessarily felt like they're really giving it 100%. What I'm seeing now in these comic books is kind of like watching a bunch of writers going through their old long boxes and sort of seeing oh, we did the Apocalypse story arc a couple runs ago. I guess we could renew Apocalypse and see if we can do anything interesting with him, which we can't. It's over-designed and under-designed. It's very little thinking that gives birth to these ideas, and then it's obvious that they're doing a lot of crap just to kind of distract from that. Just little blips of fan service. All they're doing is sprinkling fan service throughout these issues. And that is because, quite literally, in both subtext and text, the Inhumans are replacing the X-Men. And I'm not gonna lie, it's not surprising. I was surprised that, I wasn't surprised, because when you see a movie like Fantastic Four come out and then they just straight up gut the Fantastic Four story arcs, it's not a good sign for the X-Men. What really bums me out is that they're using this shitty team of discount X-Men to replace the X-Men, and then they've gone so far as, to try to replace them in the cinematic universe, but to have the very object of their replacement be the thing that's killing them with this whole arc of the Terrigen Mists, sterilizing and killing mutants, and the Mpox. And, it's kind of like a big middle finger to the fan base out there, where Marvel's kind of saying, we're basically not going to invest in anything we can't turn into a movie. Because Marvel is now more of a movie production company than they are. It's not shocking to me, I get it. They're a business. But they have a responsibility, I think, to the fans. A, not kill the most, politically responsive story arc that they have, where, this is an issue. This is a universe within the Marvel universe that kind of has always come to represent, what it is to be outsider and to be other, and to kind of handle these philosophical and political implications of not fitting into the quote-unquote status quo, and to be, either trying to fight that, trying to hide from that. And it's a very politically charged series, and it hurts to see something that pure and that rich in kind of philosophical nutrition to kind of be just scrapped for the sake of making movies. That bums me out. It bums me out that they're not hiding it. They're really trying to use this discount team of X-Men to kill the X-Men, and then they tease Death of X and Inhumans versus X-Men. So it's very quickly we're realizing that the X-Men's days are numbered, both in the stories and outside the stories, and it's gonna be this thing where, I'm going to watch all of my favorite characters be killed off because Marvel and Fox are having a pissing contest over rights that Marvel willingly sold away. So, it's kind of a bummer, and I think one of the biggest things that's starting to piss me off about it is that, if somebody told me, we're going to kill all the X-Men, but we are going to make their final run something really important. We're gonna make it a big message. We're gonna say something. We're gonna use this opportunity, this dramatic event of killing the X-Men, and we're gonna use that to say something larger. That would actually kind of satisfy me. I would be a little disappointed that they are in fact killing off those characters, but knowing that they were getting a little bit of, a little bit of investment at the end would be nice. That's assuming that this video is being viewed sometime later on when we've managed to get a couple sponsors, and right there is where we'll put the sponsors thing in, and I'll come back and it'll make this seem like a way more legitimate production than it actually is. So first off, one of the big moments I want to kind of talk about was what I think is Marvel's writing team kind of actually speaking directly to the fan base. And this is going to be some spoilers. If you don't know how this ends, stop watching. Or don't. I mean, I don't know. Do what you have to do. It's your life, and I can't live it for you. For reasons, they encounter Mr. Sinister, who for reasons is trying to breed inhuman and mutant DNA to make a stronger mutant because reasons. They literally wrote Sinister as, I'm Sinister, I do weird things like this, which is why you can accept that I'm doing this. So he's experimenting on some mutants, He's going in there, torturing this purple elephant boy. They have a fight, and he's trying to decide whether or not the mutants as a species can survive. And it's almost as if the writers are speaking directly to us, the readers. Let me skim for that. He tells I was wrong to think I could save you mutants. You are genetically inferior. Don't you see, Piotr? You, your X-Men, your precious little sister are already fossils. So I feel like this one line is actually kind of like Marvel's writing team being like, dude, you guys are done. Like, we're tired of you guys. We want to do something different. Which is unfortunate considering they're replacing the X-Men with the discount X-Men. I mean, overall, like, this is a trade of good moments. Like, one thing that Extraordinary X-Men is doing as a line is kind of being a little bit more responsive to the real-world implications of this Inhumans versus mutants kind of thing, where you see a lot of riots. In the very beginning, you see that Magic is like doing like search and rescue missions on like mutants who are like, they're literally just killing mutants. Like, human beings are just gunning down mutants because they just hate them, and they've gone from fearing them to hating them, which is like really nice actually to see that they're spending a little bit of time to deal with some very like real, tangible scenes of humans hating mutants. Like, a lot of runs tend to tell and not show, where you'll see people talking about like they hate us, they fear us. But this was really nice because you actually got to see some like intimate scenes of xenophobia that they're facing. Like, Jean Grey, the time-displaced Jean Grey, goes on a date with this dude who ends up calling this like Inhuman in an alley that he mistakes for a mutant. He calls him Mutie. And like Jean like fucking deals with that. Like, she has to be like, oh, like, I was trying to live this normal life, and then like to be what I am is to be hated by the people I'm trying to, blend in with. So it was interesting to see that scene kind of play out where like, these people can't help but interact with this hatred. The old man Logan and Jean stuff is, I mean, I'm not a fan of that relationship, like the Jean and Wolverine thing. So it's a little bit creepy to see like a 20-year-old and a like 60-year-old kind of being shipped. And there's this little moment where Bobby's like, oh, it's so cute that you guys are having like a father-daughter thing, and then he pauses and he's like, wait, it is a father-daughter thing, right? It's not something else. That was kind of like a funny little nod from Bobby. But overall, I mean, it's a solid read. I had fun. There was some interesting stuff. The art is really kind of, it's solid. Like, the storytelling is getting a lot better. I used to complain about visual storytelling with Bendis' run, where you'd get these full-page spreads, and there'd be something up here, something down here, something down here, something down here, something down here. All the word bubbles were, like, intertwined, and you're like, well, what am I actually, like, what's the narrative here? Like, it's all so jumbled, you can't really, like, divine a story from it until you spend, like, 30 minutes looking at that spread. So that was interesting. I also really like to see, like, the battle in Limbo, where they're trying to protect the school. That was really nice. Got to highlight what I'm hoping are going to be a new cast of mutants, like Glob and Anal were kind of cool. So, I'm optimistic about Extraordinary. Also, anytime you can get Storm to lead the X-Men, like, I'm on board. Storm is a great character. And this is probably some of the best Storm writing I've seen since the standalone. And this was great because in the beginning, I was a little worried, and she has a scene where she's kind of talking to the ghost of Xavier, and I was like, oh great, like another legacy issue where we have to just deal with Xavier all the time because we can't fucking have the X-Men grow up out of that. But it was great because over the course of the trade, like you start to see like she is doing honor to Xavier, but she is also moving away from what he was, which is kind of nice to see that everyone's not still beholden to Xavier. And, you know, kind of glad he's dead. He was a manipulative a-hole. Reading The Uncanny X-Men was a little bit of a letdown. It was a great start. I liked the team. And I was like, cool, we're going to get like another version of the X-Force. Because the X-Force writing, like, man, Matt Fraction and that creative team were just fucking slaying. And the artists were so solid that first collected volume of Uncanny X-Force was just beyond amazing. And I was so excited to see this and to see maybe we're getting another X-Force. And, you know, this, for all intents and purposes, is kind of like another run of X-Force. I don't know a lot about Monet, but her character was kind of interesting. I was a little bit disappointed that we're getting a disempowered Magneto again. I feel like there's been a real crutch recently with writing Magneto, where to keep him interesting, we're going to completely like eviscerate him as far as his mutant abilities, and I'm hoping at some point Secret Wars and all the stuff they're going to do with the X-Men and the Humans between kind of helps me out a little bit, because during the end of the Magneto standalone run, where he was kind of trying to fight the Incursion, I didn't understand how he was coming out of that one, because he literally got ripped in half, and now he's back, but he only has like half his power. And Midnight Riders, I want to fucking talk about these Midnight Riders. I'm actually, it's interesting because for somebody like Magneto to go up against like a survival of the fittest group, that's kind of fun. I've been reading X-Men Civil War, which has been kind of disjointed. You've got these two titles, and then you've got this solo run called X-Men Civil War 2, which really doesn't seem to have a home in either chronology, where the two teams from these two trades, or these two series, are kind of duking it out, which would be interesting if it actually fucking overlapped in any way that was really significant. Like, I realize that there are parallels in timing that you can draw to kind of help you understand when that Civil War run is working with these two X-Men runs. But it really doesn't have strong connections, so it just feels like another title. Whereas I think those issues could have way easily been put into trades and collected into the two current lines, because basically all it is the team from Extraordinary and the team from Uncanny.